Hello and welcome to the Hot Mic Podcast under the MSUM Breathing Fire Network we got going on for class. Today I'm joined by Moses Ehambe, right?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
job,
there we
bro.
go.
Good job.
A former professional basketball player and a former player development and assistant coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes, that's right.
Um, so obviously basketball is in your blood.
Yeah, ingrained in there, man.
How did you like start your basketball journey from like way back when you were a kid? Like what got you into it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, funny story. First and foremost, I like to say I'm like the patriarch of basketball in my family, because I come from a Congolese sort of family. So we're African. My father and my mother, they're African, from the Congo, Central Africa. So they knew nothing about basketball, and that wasn't until I started playing. And I didn't start playing until a little mishap happened when I was in the third grade in elementary school. Would you like to hear that story?
I would. I would.
Okay. So soccer was my first love. Like soccer was everything, especially coming from an international family. Soccer, which they call football, was everywhere and played everywhere, especially within my family unit. And so one day I was at recess. God, I miss recess. Recess was so much fun. I was out there at recess, and we were super competitive. Me and my boys out there on the fields in recess, and we're trying to win games, and we would compile teams together and just talk smack throughout the entire morning until recess. So recess comes on this one day, and I'm out there, and it's a really brutal game, and it's like tied up, and I'm about to score the game winning goal. So I'm going down the field, I'm kicking the ball, I'm sifting through defenders, and I'm about to make this big punt into the goal, and out of nowhere I get a shove, like a full on two hands like shove, and I fell, scratched up my knee, and obviously I'm hot, and I lose the ball. Right. So then I get up and I'm searching for the person who had the audacity to push me on the ground while I'm about to make this game-winning shot. I find him and I push him on the ground, and we're tussling, we're fighting, and I for some reason I end up by his like ankle. So I notice it, and I just take a big chomp out of his ankle, and he's bleeding all over the place, screaming. Obviously, all these kiddos are running, grabbing the teacher, and it's floodgates over where I'm at. And obviously, I get in trouble, kicked out of recess. And one of the things that they told me was, you are no longer allowed to play soccer the rest of the year. And that was like crazy for me. Worse than getting a whooping, worse than going to detention. Like not playing soccer, bro, that was crazy. But that was the day where the next day when I came out to recess, I was like, man, what the heck? All my boys are playing soccer. What am I going to do? So I take a gander to the left, the blacktop, and there we had a metal like ball basket, same basket that we would go and, get soccer balls to play our soccer. There was a basketball in there. I was like, huh, okay. So I walked over, grabbed the basketball, looked at the basket, and I shot my very first shot that I've ever shot in my entire life, and I made it. And since then, basketball was my sport. The second love, bro. And I stuck with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so did you originally like before that, were you like dreaming of becoming a pro soccer player? Like that was your full on.
I didn't even know at that age, man, and with family from third world country,
Yeah.
you really don't even know about the opportunity to play professional basketball,
Yeah.
or professional soccer. So I was sort of oblivious to it. I was just so caught up in the hype of, the feeling of going out there and competing and playing against your boys.
Yeah. And what was it like then? When did you end up coming like over to the States?
I was born here.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, that was in the States. So I was
Okay.
born here, but my parents I'm first generation here in the States. But then my parents were fresh to the States, like maybe 6 years in.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I was just thinking of
Oh,
other
okay.
questions.
I like your sweater, bro. That is
Thank
dope.
you.
Yeah.
Can you read that?
Optimist.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. What does that mean to you?
I just like you don't want to look at like the negatives
Uh,
of like life. I don't know.
yeah.
I got it originally because I liked it, but I do like the message,
Yeah.
and I think it's good. I think everyone could hear it, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, most definitely. And by you, that's it kind of brings me to the thought of like I've had the thoughts of creating sort of a what is it called? Like a clothing line
Yep.
that solely communicates like positivity.
Yep.
And just looking at that sweater, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I could be having a bad day, but with you walking around with that on your chest and I see it, it's like, oh, it's like a reminder. Like
Yep.
see everything as like a glass half full, not half empty. It's
Yep.
pretty cool.
And you can always fill a glass back up. So
Yeah.
you like that one?
Yeah, I love that one. I'm gonna steal it.
I saw that you do a lot of speaking.
I do.
What's that experience like?
So man, I feel like my calling, bro, my calling card is to encourage, motivate, and inspire. And that's just one avenue I'm able to do so. Like when I had my social media, like I'm not anti social media. It's just social media is not for me, because it's a attention puller. Like it takes I have 7 kids, and a beautiful wife. And I just found myself just like constantly like on Instagram and Facebook and whereas my attention needs to be on the living right now in my home. So I just kind of got rid of that. But when I was on there, I did a lot of, I call it a moment with Moses, because just basic sound, like 1 minute sound bites of whatever I was thinking of and what came to my mind in regards to motivating somebody, encouraging somebody, or inspiring somebody. Because I feel like that's what, I mean, we're blessed to be a blessing. When we make it to where we make it so that we can pull the next person up. And I honestly believe that my words can help me to do that at a high level. So, with that being said, man, I love speaking in front of people. I love being behind the mic. I love being in front of the camera because it gives me an avenue to be able to encourage, motivate, and inspire. And my dad's a pastor, so I've seen that my entire life. So I kind of latched on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much was that like a part of your life then? Like just faith in God.
Oh, dude, it's my foundation. Like how there's in a book that I try to read on a daily basis. I'm not perfect, but there's a story about how Jesus was talking about a man building a house on sand, or and a man building a house on a firm foundation on rock. The man that builds the house on sand, wind blows, the rain flows, the flood waters come. What happens? That house is demolished, right? But a man that builds a house on firm foundation on the rock, like wind blows, waters flow, lightning and all that stuff comes about, but that house stays strong because it's built on a firm foundation. And I see my faith in God as that firm foundation. So it's what I build my house, my intellect, my family, my mind, my spirit. Everything is built on just my relationship with God, bro. And I honestly don't think my life would be the way that it is now, because I am blessed tremendously. But I would not be blessed if I did not have that personal relationship with God, and just that belief in the higher power, that there's a God, and just the fundamentals and the things that you can learn like in the Bible. Like it's like the BIBLE is the basics instructions of before leaving Earth to me. So it's like an instruction manual. When you go to IKEA, you get that awesome piece of furniture. You can't wait to get to the house, put it together, and you open up the box and all these pieces, and you're like, man, how the heck how am I going to enjoy this piece of furniture that I've been waiting so long to enjoy with all these pieces? But then, boom, at the bottom, there's that instruction manual. And once you have the instruction manual, it gives you an opportunity to put that amazing piece together, and then you can enjoy life through this piece of furniture. And I see the Bible as just that, bro. There's so many instructions and just validity and rule, not necessarily rules, but just so many things and stories that give you an opportunity to just live your life by, and in that you will be blessed. by following those instructions. So, bro, it's my foundation.
Um, so when when you were back in like elementary school and
Yeah.
you first picked up the basketball, right? You took your shot and you were hooked, right? Um
Hooked.
so how did that progress and how did you keep did I'm sure back then as well you were learning about God.
Yeah.
How did you like keep the two together and kind of like they like work
Okay.
together? You know what I mean?
Right. Right. As a young type, like in the third grade, no. It wasn't until I got to like sixth, seventh grade, eighth grade, where like FCA was sort of introduced to me.
Yeah.
Fellowship for Christian Athletes. I always knew about God because of my father and how he brought me up and how he led a church and whatnot. But I never knew how it like God correlated to like sport, right? But FCA did a fantastic job with sort of like explaining that to me, how two and two, one and one, two and two come together. And it wasn't until I got to like eighth, ninth grade where I started like, okay, it's like my faith in God can help me in my career for basketball. So
Yeah. Um, so how did like high school basketball leading into college go for you?
it went well. I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school, but I had some pretty awesome offers. I mean, I checked it out about it was like 5 months ago, where an article came out, and I was considered. I think I was number 98 out of all high schoolers in the state of Texas when I played. So I was pretty good, by God's grace. But with being good, you also got to get seen, right? I don't think I got seen the way that I wanted to get seen, because I didn't do all the major tournaments and different things like that in the summer. I was always with like the smaller teams that tried to make it. I wasn't like with the Texas Blue Chips or the Team Texas or the those guys. But if I probably was, I probably would have went to a different type of level of school. But I did. I got recruited by Kansas State, Nickel State, some mid majors, and then Oral Roberts University. And I chose to go to Oral Roberts University, man.
Why did you choose them?
Bro, well, as you know, I'm a man of faith, come from a family of faith. So I went on my visit to Nickel State, then I went on my visit to some of the other school, Long Island University. Then I eventually got to my visit at Oral Roberts University. But once I got to Oral Roberts University and I stepped on campus, I honestly felt like God was telling me, like, Moses, this is what I have for you. Like, this is where I want you. And it was weird for me because I really never experienced hearing the voice of God or instruction from God in that regard. So with that being said, so I was like, okay. So I went throughout my college visit, and it was fantastic. The campus was great. The people I was meeting was awesome, and also like interacting with the team was a really cool experience because everybody connected. They really invited me in, like I was one of them, and I played. I played well, which was cool. And once I sat in Coach Sutton's office, Scott Sutton, Eddie Sutton's son, um, the OSU, the Oklahoma State, like great Eddie Sutton. Um, I was in there. I was like, hey, man, I'm having a great time, and I would like to play here, like on the spot, scholarship. So I called my parents, and they were super ecstatic because not because I was getting a scholarship, but because they really did feel like I heard from God for the first time, which was huge for my family, coming from a family of faith. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, they actually had a conversation with um, one of my aunts that she's spoken things into my father's ministry, that came to pass. Right. So she had a conversation with my parents about maybe 2 months before I went on my visit. She knew nothing about my travels to different schools or who's recruiting me. But she came in and she's like, "Hey guys, for some reason I feel like God is telling me that Moses is going to go to Oral Roberts University because that's where he's going to find his blessing and that's where he's going to find his wife." So they finally shared this with me after I committed to go play at Oral Roberts University, and I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." A, I'm got school paid for, but B, because I truly experienced like hearing from God for the first time. So
Yeah.
that's that's how it happened. Man.
How was your time at Oral Roberts? Because I know, were they in the Summit League when you first got there, or was that later on?
They were in the
Okay.
midcon when I first got there for the first 2 years, and then we transitioned into the Summit League my junior and senior year.
Yeah, because I know I'm really close to NDSU, and
Oh, cool.
I know they're in the Summit League, and I saw that you.
Hated those guys. Oh my God, they were so good. And part of me, but they were filled with just thick, like tall, like strong white boys that were pretty and they were good and they talked smack. So it was hated playing against them.
Yeah, we're in Moorhead, and it's just like right across the river is Fargo. So
Oh, cool.
yeah. Um, so I pulled up a few stats from your college, or and some of your pro. Um, and one that I stumbled across that I was really interested in was the 2008 Summit League MVP of the, what was that experience like? Were you just like on a different level
Dude,
during that time, or?
crazy, crazy level. Like even like with when you hear from God and like this is where I'm supposed to be, you think everything's gonna be given to you on a silver platter, right? Dude, total opposite. Once I got to Oral Roberts University, it was like I mean I was a workhorse, so I worked for everything and everything. But my freshman year didn't play, sat the pine. Sophomore year, I worked like my tail off that summer, thinking, okay, I sat my first. They didn't want to play me as a freshman. I'm about to come in here and do my thing. Man, sat the pine again half of the season or beginning of the season. Then I got asked to redshirt. That was a double whammy. But then guys got hurt. So then I started, I came off a red shirt, basically lost the year. But I started doing well. But then when guys started getting healthy, back on the bench. But then things started to click, started getting playing time, got asked to be captain of my team, and some different things that happened, which was great. Then all of a sudden senior year, like that tournament was that year was special. And that game, I don't know if you've seen it, but I think I think I had like 8 threes in that game, and it was just unreal. Things when it rains, it pours. In that game, it was pouring. So
I did see that you're known as a little bit of a shooter for sure.
mm-mm,
Um, because another thing that
incorrect. Not a
incorrect.
shooter, a shot maker.
Okay.
There's a lot of shooters out there, man. Come on, Dallas. I'm not. I make shots.
Bucket maker. I got you. I got you. Um, yeah, because uh, you made it to the G League. That was you went undrafted. Is that correct?
Undrafted.
What's that
Yep.
experience like?
Um, you know, playing collegiately, my mind was not playing professionally
Yep.
at the end. It wasn't until like my senior year, where it was like, oh my goodness, there's actually a way that I can go do this for a living.
Yep.
So then things started getting serious and whatnot. But I sort of wanted to stay close to home because just like the woman said to my parents, like that's where Moses is going to find his wife. I actually did find my wife at Oral Roberts University. Beautiful woman. Like, and she's right here. This is my first lady. I call her my first lady. You know what I'm saying? I was blessed. But yeah, I met her. I actually asked her to marry me at halftime of a Oral Roberts basketball game when I went down. I was homecoming king my senior year. So the following year, you got to come down and bring the crown and whatever. But during that time, they allowed me to propose to my wife. So it's on YouTube, Moses and Sarah proposal. But I met her, so it's like I didn't want to like leave, right? And at that time, the G League just placed. I think the OK. No, well, let me back up here. The Supersonics got bought up by Oklahoma City. So the Oklahoma City brought the Sonics to Oklahoma City, and then they became the Thunder. Then the Thunder created a G League team, and they placed their G League team in Tulsa. So it was like, wow, this would be an amazing opportunity for me to play professionally and still be by my wife, which is still in college. So I decided to do that, and by God's grace, man, I got drafted, and then started playing with them.
Um, and you were a bucket maker there as well. You made your shot maker.
I tried to, a little something.
Because during my little research session, just trying to learn more about you, I saw that at one point in time you were first place all time in threes made in the G League.
Yeah,
That's
but records are set to be broke, bro.
yeah. I I think you're like fifth now, but
Yeah, something like that. I haven't checked.
no one can take it away from you that you were like
I was. Yeah.
you were.
Thanks for that reminder.
Still
Thank you.
still are.
Nobody.
You still
Yes,
are.
yes. Still are.
Still are.
Still am.
I mean, if we played 1-on-1 right now, you'd probably cook me 21-0. Like
Oh, bro, I still got it. Like part of my job with the Timberwolves was to play against the players. Like we did something called I'm gonna boast on myself a little bit. You can do that time to time, every once in a while. We play what they call the stay in shape games. So on a roster, NBA roster, you carry about like 16, 15, 16 guys, and you only play maybe nine, maybe eight or nine, but the remaining guys, like, how are these guys aren't playing? How do they stay in shape? So we put them through actual game-like games after a shoot around. And it's like you're playing the 12 minutes, four quarters, all that jazz. We have refs, and guys are playing, and we only have maybe how many, like seven NBA guys that could play, and then the rest had to be coaches. So I was always chosen one of the coaches to play. And when I played, I made shots. I remember a game where we were playing, and I still hold the record, 11 out of 12 threes in a game against pros. And guarded by pros, not guarded by coaches, guarded by pros. And when I did that, D'Lo, this is when D'Lo was on the squad, he actually tweeted, Moses is the best shooter on the Timberwolves. If you know, you know. He got so much crap for that because we were in a time where we weren't doing so well as a team, but he sent that and everybody was like, you need to be this, that, and the other. But it was cool to see that come through. I actually took a screenshot. I got to find that thing. It was pretty cool, that experience.
I'll try and find it. I'll put it up on the thing so people can see that.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. But that record is still there, bro. I still make shots. Come on.
Um, so you played how many years did you play professionally after
I played
college?
I played 11 years professionally, all over the world, man. So I played in the G League, so with a lot of teams. What I played for the Tulsa 66ers, now the OKC Blue. Then I went off and played. They sold my rights to the Austin Spurs, now the Austin Toros, I believe. Then I got traded to the Iowa Energy, now the Iowa Wolves. Played there and then won a championship with Nick Nurse. Actually, Nick Nurse was my coach there, who now coaches for the 76ers, and then also Nate Bjorkgren, who actually brought me to the NBA whenever he got that head coaching job for the Indiana Pacers, and that started my career. But played in the G League for some time. Majority of my career was overseas. I did play in the NBA with the Pelicans in 2011. Played for Team USA in the Pan Am Games. Got the bronze medal. I have it. Oh, it's right here. I got the bronze medal. We got the bronze medal. Got smacked by it was Mexico, and we were playing in Guadalajara, Mexico. That place was packed. It was crazy, and they just smacked us and won. They won the silver or whatnot. I forget who had the gold, but played for Team USA. So I mean, in overseas, whew, I played in Germany. I played in France, Russia, Qatar, Morocco, Japan, China, Spain, in Barcelona. I played in Venezuela. I've played all over, man. So,
Was there ever like a language barrier? Like, was that something you had to try and overcome?
everywhere, bro. But it was a mindset. So I think, and I preach this now, bro, like a superpower that you can have as an athlete and anybody, but shoot, is the ability to adapt. And with my family and I, like everywhere I went, like when teams would sign me, they knew they were signing Team Ehambe. They knew they were signing my entire family. I took my entire family everywhere that I went in every single country. Like even we have a daughter that was born in Boulogne-sur-Mer, France, Anna Shalom, and then we have a daughter that was born in Bremerhaven, Germany, Selah. But every single place that we went and landed, we made it a point to learn the language. Like even to this day, when my wife and I we parent our kids, like sometimes when we make like statements or we're reprimanding a kiddo or whatnot, we speak that language. And like sometimes a sentence would comprise of like German, French, and Spanish. It's kind of crazy. But we made it a point to learn because obviously, being in a different country, when the natives know that you're trying to learn their language, they embrace you, right? But then also when we knew that, man, it's also beneficial for us just intellectually learning a new language and being able to bring that to the table, and also for our kids to learn it as well.
My only experience with trying to learn a new language was Spanish 1 in high school,
Yes.
and I was horrible. I don't know if there's something in my head. Learning a different language is like one of the hardest things in my head to try and do.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially when you try to learn it at an older age, man. Like my kids learning a different language was so easy because at that stage of their life, like their minds are like a sponge. Like it's like they were running around the community speaking the language like crazy, like fluent.
Yeah, that's so cool. Um, it'll probably never be me though, unfortunately.
Uh,
In your professional career, when did you like know that you were gonna have to like end up leaving the playing and going into coaching?
oh, dude, that's another like experience right there in itself, man. So I was playing in Russia. As I was throughout my professional career, even though I made it to the NBA with the Pelicans, I got a sip of tea, right? A cup of tea. And when you have a cup of tea, bro, something that you really want and like, you want the full course meal, right? So that was my goal throughout my professional career. Um, and when I got to Russia, playing in Sakhalin, Russia, I played the best basketball I ever played in my entire life. And I thought, and my agent thought, and my family thought, okay, this is it. We're getting back to the NBA. But I'm sitting in my room, and remember that voice that I told you that I heard when I was at Oral Roberts University? I heard the same voice, and that voice said, Moses, I need you to be done playing. And I was like, wait, hold on. This can't be. I'm almost there. I'm about to get back to the NBA. But I just knew like it was my time to call it quits. Or not quits. Like it was my time to walk away. Just being obedient to that voice, man, because I knew when I listened to the voice of God, man, he shows up and he directs me. And wherever he directs, he protects, and where he guides, he provides. Right. So I took like one of the most prominent like fears of a professional athlete is when I'm done playing, what am I going to do next? I was at that place. I was like, man, okay, I'm not playing anymore. What am I going to do next? And that's where Oral Roberts University called and gave me a job in the athletic department as an assistant to the athletic director. And then from there, um, I got asked to coach seventh and eighth grade basketball across the street at a church called Victory Christian Church. They also have a school. So I needed the money at the time. I'm like, man, I got five kids. I'm not making peanuts up across the street. I'm just gonna at least do it. So I did it, and I fell in love with coaching. And it's crazy because as a player, my wife and I always talked about how whenever I'm done playing, I'm done. We're done with basketball. We're not going to go into coaching. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to be solely corporate world and then go from there. So yeah, I fell in love with it.
Um, so you got the job across the street. You fell in love
Wasn't
with
even
it.
a job. It was just like stipend. I think I got paid like $2,000 for the season, but it was still a blessing, man.
Um, so then what was your next step? Like, I think I saw that you were with the Pacers for a year. Was that directly after?
Well, so once I got that job across the street or the stipend across the street, then things just started popping. Like we won a championship, seventh and eighth grade basketball. I like to say, man, I went from coaching milk money to millionaires, right? Because all of that was like within the year and a half span. It was crazy. So I got the job over at Victory Christian School. Then I got at a seventh and eighth grade basketball. Then I got asked to sort of help out with varsity. So I did that. And then no more than maybe 2 months later, my alma mater gives me a call while I'm there. I'll never forget this. I'm sitting on my office answering emails, and the head coach of the women's team, Misty Cousins, over at Oral Roberts University, she comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, Moses, they say third time's the charm." And whenever I got done playing at Oral Roberts University, she tried to hire me on her staff. But I was like, I'm going to play professionally. I'm sorry, but I'm honored. But I want to pursue a professional career. Then when I was in Germany, I think it was like year 5, she reached out again and said, "Hey, Moses, I'm looking for an assistant coach. Would love to hire you." And at that time, I'm playing great. It's like, I want to continue playing. So then now, the third time I'm sitting in my office answering emails, and she comes across my office. She's like, "Hey, Moses, can you come out real quick?" And I go out in the hallway, and she basically tells me that her assistant coach is going on maternity leave, and she just learned that she's not coming back, and she wanted to offer me the job. So immediately I was like, "Whoa, come on." I'm already falling in love with this sport. Yeah, this is women's basketball, but hey, if I'm supposed to be on the men's side, they'll find me. In fact, I called guys like Nate Tibbetts. Nate Tibbetts was then coaching for the Portland Trailblazers. He's now the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury. I also called I think it was, oh, what is his name? Coach Nurse, Nick Nurse, who was coaching in Canada with the Raptors at the time. And I basically asked, "Hey, I want to pursue this career in coaching. Should I take this women's job on the women's side?" And they were like, "Yes, absolutely. If you're supposed to be on the men's side, like, it'll find you." And with that being said, I was like, okay. It was great advice, because then I took it. And then I took it, man. I tell you, 3 months later, I get a call from the Indiana Pacers. And it's Coach Nate Bjorkgren, who just got the head coaching job for the Indiana Pacers, and he's building his staff. And he gave me a call. He's like, "Hey," he called me Boxer back then, because of the workouts that I used to do whenever he was coaching me with Nick Nurse for the Iowa Wolves. And he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to ask what you're doing." And I told him, "I'm having a time of my life. I am coaching, and I'm having a blast." And he was like, "How would you like to coach in the NBA?" I was like, "Wait, hold on. Is this a joke?" "What you mean the NBA? I'm coaching. I just got to get down coaching 7th grade basketball. And you want me to coach in the NBA?" So then he's like, "Serious, serious. It's a heart attack. I want you to come be a part of my staff. I'm building my staff now, and I want good people around me. I want people that work hard. I want people that know the game. And you know the game, and you played for me. And I know you're a great person. So I want to hire you." So then they hired me. So I literally left with 3. I remember being with the team off season, the ladies at Oral Roberts University. We go through off season, and we're about to play our very first game against the Arkansas Razorbacks. We go there, we get smacked by 40, right? And then we get back home, and then I'm packing up to go to Indiana. So that's where the NBA career started.
Um, so how did the Pacers end, and then how did the Timberwolves end up securing you for a couple years?
So you get there. I start coaching or whatnot, and we went through a tough time in Indiana. I mean, we made it to the play-in game, which was good, for first time head coach, this, that, and the other. But I think the expectation was higher than that, and it got to a point where, and I don't know if you remember this, but there would be like, it just wasn't the best. Coach lost the locker room. When you lose the locker room, man, it's over for a head coach. So they ended up letting Coach Nate going and being on his staff. It trickles down to the assistant coaches and whatnot. So it got to me, and I got let go, and so I'm just sitting back in Indiana. Just closed on a house. My wife just literally lost her job because it was during COVID. And we're sitting there like, okay, all right, God, you opened up this door, like, and we know you're gonna open up another one. So hurry up. So at the time we had 5 kiddos. So then the Indiana Pacers called, and that's why, like, it's a great thing to know. Don't ever burn a bridge, because you never know when the next person could help you out, or when you can help the next person. So there's a relationship that I built. Jeff Aubrey, I used to work at the league office in Manhattan, NBA league office, and I cultivated a relationship with him. And he was in a relationship with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and there was a job position opening up, and he was trying to reach out to me. He really couldn't find out where I was or what I was doing, so he reached out to my wife, actually. When he did that, I remember I was mowing the lawn, sort of like praying, like, "God, come on, we need to get a job and whatnot. And she runs out to me and say, hey, somebody at the league office just gave you sent me a message on WhatsApp. His name is Jeff Aubrey. You might want to give him a call. And immediately I was like, oh yeah, no, Jeff. So I gave him a call and he told me about the opening for the Minnesota Timberwolves as the director of player programs. And he was like, hey man, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I would love to put your name in the hat to see if you could potentially get this position. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he did it. And interview after interview with a long process, bada bing, bada boom, got the job. And I've been in Minnesota for 4 years since then.
What's like the call? Like you pick up, or did they call you? Did you like pick up the phone and
So he was in a relationship. Well, he worked for the league office, but one of his teams was the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he was integrated in that organization, knowing what was needed and this, that, and the other. So he reached out to them and let them know about me. Then they reached out to me about, hey, interviewing and that whole process. So I did that, sent in my resume, had a couple of calls with some of the higher up, and it was a wrap from there.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was
Um,
pretty awesome.
what was your role originally?
So my role originally, if you're familiar with Minnesota basketball, it's been sort of a roller coaster the past like 4 or 5 years. So my role, I came in as the director of player programs, and basically what that means is my job was it was like a hybrid role. My job, director of player programs and a player development coach. Director of player programs means part of my job was to help our guys be the very best version of themselves off the court. And on the other side of player development, it was part of my job to help our guys be the best version of themselves on the court. But it came hand in hand because I couldn't build all these programs and make all these connections if the guys didn't believe in what I was doing. So the basketball side of things gave me an opportunity to, like, thank God I could still play. Right. So part of my job was to continue to play and different things and put these guys through workouts and the sweating and bleeding with these guys and going through practices, the brutal practices and whatnot. It created sort of a bond and a trust with what I had to offer on the player program side. So then it married, and then like guys started getting involved in these player programs, and then like things started happening, and then out of nowhere, management changes. And as soon as management changes, then the whole role starts to shift in regards to so Gerson was the sort of the architect of the player programs sort of role. When he leaves, like then it's like, okay, why do we have player programs, right? But I believe I did a good job by God's grace on the player development side. They decided to keep me and just shift my role to all player development and coaching. So I went on to that side, and then the management changed with Tim Conley coming in, and then all of a sudden it's like the assistant coach, and I became the shooting coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I just went there on, and just step by step.
Shot making coach.
Shot making coach. Thank you for that correction.
um, so even when it wasn't like in your title, were you still
Yeah,
like trying to make sure that these guys off the court were still like the best that they possibly could be?
hands down. That's like my calling card.
Yeah.
That goes back to the encourage, motivate, and inspire. Like I knew that these guys, if these guys are good off the court, man, they're gonna be phenomenal on the court. Right. So what are some things that we can do to kind of get them good? Like they're humans. Like some of them are married. Some of them have girlfriends. Some of them, are dads. Some of them, all of them make so much money. Like how are we setting these guys up to alleviate all types of just pressure and not necessarily distractions, because being a dad and a husband is not a distraction. It's your duty, right? But what are some things that we can do to kind of capitalize on them just being the best version of themselves as a dad, as a husband, as a manager of their money, so that way they can like create an awesome career for themselves and also us in turn as the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I really do believe the reason why we did so well for the Timberwolves, especially with Coach Finch, like being our leader, amazing leader he is. He knew that, man, our guys being the best version of themselves, it really makes sense. And I really do believe that we made it to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row because of that. Because our guys were good off the court. There wasn't as much pressure on them because we did it. Our management, Tim Connolly, did a fantastic job with honing into that stuff. You know,
what are those like playoff runs like in the locker room, like with everybody? Like, wh
Um,
what's what's it like when you win a series or win a game, and then what's it like when you don't? You obviously end up losing, and like, how's the atmosphere different?
when you lose, it's devastating. It is devastating. I mean, I mean, the game that you get out in is devastating. The game ones or twos or threes that you lose, it's not. It's like okay, on to the next one. Like we did such a good job with okay, next game mentality. Like even with shot making, all right, next shot mentality. Like that was our mindset, you know. And I really do feel like that's the reason why we were so successful. But we did have those times where you know we went to Denver and they smacked us year one when we won in the playing game with Patrick Beverly and those guys which we were so honed in on winning that playing game that once we got to the real thing, we were gassed emotionally and physically. But since then, bro, it was like we knew what it felt like to lose and to get battered, right? So now it's like, okay, now we're going to turn this page and we're going to utilize it as fuel to our flame to help us to win games. So losing was more of, well, I don't like to say losing. I like to say learning. These learning opportunities gave us an opportunity to capitalize on the opportunities that would be at hand for winning these games. So the preparation it was by far one of the best that I've been a part of. You know, I think Coach Finch and his leadership and Tim Connolly, they did such a great job with just giving us the tools that we needed to be the best that we can be to help these guys be the best that they can be and help them prepare.
You said you either win or you learn, kind of.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
something that my friend said in his graduation speech in high school that his basketball coach had told him. So I feel like that's kind of it's starting to become like a commonality, and I think it's good. It's
Almost
like,
definitely.
I think it's just a good mentality to have that, you don't
Yeah.
lose. You do just come away with something that you need to do better or what
Yeah.
works, what doesn't. And
And it forces you to find the diamond in the rough,
yo,
right? The rough is the whole losing aspect, but the diamond is the what did I learn in that whole sort of lane that I was in just now? Like, what are some things that I can take from it, right? And that diamond, you know, diamonds don't just become diamonds, bro. They first start as a lump of coal, but it's that pressure and that fire and that refining process that gets you to that diamond. And like us not doing so well in that I think it was my year two, like we found that diamond, right? And we had to go through that like yuckiness, but we found the diamond and we took it to year 3 and 4 and we made it to the Western Conference Finals. Right. So
um, so what was it like, kind of like travel wise while you were there?
brutal.
It was it.
Not necessarily, but for me as a family man, 7 kids, a beautiful wife, like it was a lot of time away from my family. You know, sometimes you go on two week road trips. Sometimes you'll go on, I think 2 week was the most. And then you know you come home and you come home and you got a back to back. So you come home, but then you play the next night and you come home like at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then the next night you got a game at 7, right? And you got to be up for shoot around, right? At like 9 o'clock. You know, so it was kind of it was up in the air. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was horrible, not at all, because I mean you're flying private, you have all the food that you want, all the this that and the other, and you're in the NBA, so it comes with the territory. But people like to think that they know that, but being in the NBA, these guys just have it like everything's catered to them and all that kind of jazz. Yes, things are catered to them because the strenuous like travel and the things that these guys have to go through in order to compete at a high level. So it had its I guess you could say down and outs, but also had its astronomical like ups, with travel and the places that we stayed, and it was a good experience.
What are some of like the things that you saw on the inside that maybe people on the outside don't get to see that you can share? Obviously, you don't have to say anything but like,
Um, I saw that these guys are humans. Like they're human, obviously. They have their flaws. They have the good things that they do. Like I found out that like within coaching that there's a lot of guys, especially with being a man of faith. Like there was a lot of guys within our organization that are also men of faith, right? I remember like in the NBA, like people don't see like game day. You think okay, just game day, this, that, and the other. But like game days are also like opportunities for these guys to have chapel. Like in every single game, there is chapel with 60 minutes on the clock. 60 minutes on the clock meaning 60 minutes until tip off, right? And what chapel comprises of is you have a chaplain, usually like a pastor of a church. Like one of our pastors, our chaplains were Matt, Matt and Chris Thibodeau, and those guys, they have churches within the city in Minneapolis, but they would come in, with 60 on the clock and share like a 15-minute word for the guys that come in, right? And both teams are in this chapel room at the same time. And we got to a point in Minnesota where we had about 8 guys every single chapel service. It was unreal. When we'd go to other arenas to play in Madison Square Garden, for example, we would roll in 8 deep, and chaplains would be like, "Oh my gosh, like what is this church service?" you know. But it's pretty cool to experience and see because you don't know that as a fan. Like you don't know these guys are going in and getting like a safe place to just go and worship and spend some time with God before going out and playing in an hour.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, what's something that you have learned and like you found out throughout all your years of travel and all these experiences that if you could go back to, we'll say like high school, senior year, if you could go back and tell them one thing, what is the thing that you would tell yourself, your younger self?
Oh, one thing that I would tell my younger self going through all the things that I've gone through so far, uh, just I guess the power of presence. Like you're asked, what time is it? It's right now. What do you have? I mean, what time is it? It's right now. Where are you at? You're right here. What do you have? You only have this moment, right? So the power of presence is so very important because we can get to a point where we get so distracted with the future or the past that it keeps us from being in the present moment, which will then actually propel us to greatness, right? The greatest loss in life is when something great inside of you dies while you're still alive, right? And I think tapping into that greatness is having the ability to be like present and patient and enduring through the process of wherever you're at because you have that goal you want to get to, but it's not necessarily you fighting and striving to get to that goal. No, man, like give yourself a break. Like um one of the most crazy things that we go through as a professional athlete is like what is it again? Is getting in your own way. Sorry, I just had to getting in your own way. Like things are gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen, but when you think so much about it and you put so much pressure on yourself about it, like that gets in the way of you just getting to where you want to be. So the power of presence and knowing just the greatness that you have inside of you is in there, but we can allow it to lay dormant, or we can allow it to just burst into flames, so we can become who we're called to be and get to where we want to go.
What's like one roadblock that was in front of you during your career that you had to maybe not like just push through, but maybe find a new way to go about it and go around it?
Um, mm, I remember one year, I think it was year 2 with me in the NBA. Part of my job was to help guys, like encourage the guys, motivate the guys. And one thing that we planned about doing was okay. One thing I was tasked with was sending motivational text messages and different things to some of the guys. And one day, after one game, we got smacked pretty bad, and I think it was New York. And I decided to send a text message to all the guys in regards to, hey, it's okay. Like you can be upset, you can throw a fit, you can even cry if you want to. But just know better days tomorrow. We got this. Keep working. Trust in yourself. And it didn't sit well with the guys. In fact, when we were in the air heading back to Minnesota, I got a, I got not a call, but a flight attendant came back to my seat because all the players are sitting up front. And they're like, "Hey, the guys actually wanted to see you and talk to you." So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. They probably got my message. All right, let's go do it." So I walked up there, in front of the plane, in front of all the guys, and basically was told by one of the players. I'm not going to say any names. It's like, "Man, uh, you don't know me. Like Moses, you don't know me, right? I'm a big guy or whatever." He said, "I don't need your motivational text messages." And I was like, whoa, that was a turn of events, you know? And I was like, is everything okay? This, that, and the other. Basically, I found out that some of the guys thought I was calling them crybabies, you know? And that's obviously not okay. But as I was walking back to my seat, I started getting text messages from majority of the guys, and they were like, "We like your messages. Please keep bringing them. They're motivating us, this and the other." But with that process, and then once we got on the ground and went to our next destination, the guy that was talking to me about it, came up to me and was basically telling me that he apologized and whatnot. He was just upset. But what I learned in that situation is just timing. Like you can't just send a text message like that right when you get smacked and you're in the air heading back, and the guys are, they're thinking about different things and whatnot. And there's always like the right timing for different things and situations and whatnot. So yeah, it was sort of like a block that I hit, but I eventually got over it and just learned a lot from that situation.
Yeah. So how many years total did you spend with the Timberwolves?
I spent 4 years
Four
with the
years.
Timberwolves. Yeah.
And so you said that it recently came to an end.
Yes. So you remember that still small voice that I spoke to you about, making my decision to play at Oral Roberts University, and then also the still small voice that I felt whenever I felt like it was time to walk away from playing. I felt the same still small voice year 4 with the Timberwolves after we made it to Western Conference Finals, and it was basically the Lord saying, "Hey, I need you to be done." And it was the toughest decision of my life. I had 2 more years on my contract, assistant coach, shooting coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I knew with my track record with the Lord, I knew that when he speaks, I listen, right? So I went in to Coach Finch's office after like 2 days after we lost or learned. Um, and I basically told him that I have to be done, and they were so gracious to let me walk away and walk out of my contract. But man, it was the toughest decision of my life doing that. And then, another instruction that I felt like the Lord put in my heart was I was to move my family to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's where we're at currently. So we're out here and, having a blast, being able to spend time with my family. I've been so, I don't want to say disconnected, but I, I haven't been so connected as with my family as I have been this I think it's been 4 months since we left the Timberwolves, um, as I am now. And it's just amazing. I've been coaching millionaires and putting them through workouts, but I was not given an opportunity because of my schedule to train my own kids. So I'm able to, wake up in the morning, take my kids to practice, train my kids, and do all these amazing things for my family, and actually spend quality time with my wife. We recently, every marriage needs a tune up. We actually got an opportunity to have a tune up at this is a place called the Focus on the Family, like marriage intensive. We were able like last week to go out and spend 4 days together and just like relearn each other and really love each other and learn to communicate at a high level, which I think is very, very important within a marriage. We've been married for 16 years, and there were some great things that we actually learned about each other being out there. But with that being said, if I was still coaching, I probably would have made time for it. So I'm in a great season right now. Like building my relationship with my wife and my kids, but also building my relationship with myself and God. Being able to spend time with Him and see the importance of reconnecting with Him, and even vocationally, like I'm still doing some basketball stuff. I'm partnered with a company called Win All Day out here in Tulsa, which is a personal development company. and also player development. Like I'm starting the player development sector with them, with being the shooting coach here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'm excited to be able to still be around sport, but then also cultivate my gifting of, coaching and speaking, in that regard. And also I'm in the entertainment industry. I do the whole acting and modeling and all that kind of stuff. We've been in some movies as a family. We do that as a family, you know. We've been in, there's a movie called Reagan with Dennis Quaid, that came out, I think it was last year. My wife and I were graced the opportunity to play a role in that, and just different commercials. And it's a fun life, and it's a fun life with being able to create my own schedule and be a present father and an intentional husband. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's so cool. Being able to like live your life the way you want it, and you've gone at the pace that you want to. You've done everything the way kind of you have kind of set out for yourself and that
Yeah,
God laid out for you. And I think you've
yeah.
done a really good job of staying on that track. And
Thank you, man.
from what I can tell, I've met you like two or three times. You've always been really just a great person to talk to. Um, I remember the first time when I'd met you, it was December 2nd. It was my 21st birthday on the day. Um, Laura, who has season tickets, she was coworker's, my old coworker's mom. And I started talking with her, and I've gone to a bunch of games with her now. It's kind of like,
Oh, that's cool.
I don't even talk to the coworker anymore, really. I just talk to her mom.
That's awesome.
And
Uh,
so we'll go to games every once in a while. And she, for my 21st, she got me courtside, for just like when you guys run out of the tunnel and like to say hey to
yeah.
everybody. And she stopped you because she knew you and you came over and we had a conversation for like 3 or 4 minutes. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Just you taking the time,
Oh,
kind of like how you did here. You take an hour out of your day to, I don't, just kind of help me out. And it means a lot.
Oh, most definitely, bro. That's why I do what I do, man. It's not for me, but it's for people like you. People that are in the process of living their dream. And if I know that I could potentially, just play a small role in that, man, come on. That's why we make it not to make it. We make it so we can bring the next person up. Not that the person is down, but just motivating and inspiring and whatnot. So, yeah, it's an honor to be on your show, man. I know you're gonna do great things, and this is gonna go far.
That's the goal. My end goal is to work for the Dallas Cowboys.
Come on.
I want to be a writer, reporter, podcast, anything that they want me doing media wise over there. I'm ready to go over there and do it.
What are you doing right now to kind of set yourself up for that?
I should be doing more. I'll say that.
Okay,
Right now I'm just in school. My major is broadcast journalism.
come on.
I'm currently in my college has been kind of like up and down. Like I've had periods where I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Like it I don't know what to do kind of, and I'll like drop a bunch of classes and I'll take like only like one or two for a semester. And then the next semester I'm like, okay, I got to lock in. And then I'll do like four that semester. So it's been kind of like up and down. I'm not exactly sure when I'll graduate yet, but um I I kind of took the initiative in this podcasting class. Like we're we were tasked with starting a podcast and doing it and finding guests.
Yeah,
But I wanted to make it a point to go out and try and make connections and talk to people who have interesting life experiences that I am interested in myself, like Kyle Yeomans. Uh, he's a writer report. He literally has my dream job right now, and
oh,
he's
that's cool.
so I'm like to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to him was awesome. The second one I did with a friend who had just gotten back from Alaska, and he's one of my closest friends. So just being able to sit down and catch up with him about his time up there is
Yeah,
pretty cool. And then this is my third one. I'd met you, I had known of you, and I thought you had really cool life experiences, and you were so nice when I met you. I was like, I'll reach out, I'll see if I can get a hold of him, and
lo and behold. after I stood you up. What the heck? I couldn't believe I did that. It was not intentional. I didn't do that intentionally, man. I just it didn't show up in my schedule for some reason. Super weird. But
You're
we got it done.
you're all good, dude. I figured you were busy. I I was like I trust him as a person. He'll reschedule, and
Uh,
and here we are.
Thanks for trusting me. Yeah, for sure, bro. Anything I can do to help, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for coming on to the Hot Mic podcast, and uh, I'm sure MSUM will be grateful that you were able to come on and help me out as well. We'll have to go to a game. I know you're in Tulsa now, but if you're ever back out in Minnesota, let me know, and I will.
Most
I'll
definitely.
try and head out to a game with you.
Okay. Sounds good, man. Yeah.
Or I know you're a Cowboys fan. Maybe I make the trip down there and we go to we go to one down there.
Hey, talk to me. Talk to me, man. I'll make that happen because I live in Arlington. I
Oh
mean, I don't live in Arlington, but that's where I'm from.
yeah,
That's where my parents are at, or everything. That's where I grew up. So,
that was my first time down. First time ever going down there was in early November for that Cardinals game.
oh, really?
Yeah, and we kind of got smacked a little bit, but
Yeah, story of our lives right now.
yeah, I first time in Dallas though. I did like the whole entire like I did a meet and greet with a couple of the guys. I
Oh,
did
cool.
like a tour of their practice facility, tour of their stadium like twice. So we did we did it all while we were down there.
Wow, is the practice stadium in the arena or the stadium?
It's in Frisco.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
They've got like a massive facility. They've got an indoor field, two outdoor fields. And that's where like their media and like front offices too.
Okay.
So they do
Wow.
everything pretty much out of there.
Frisco and Arlington. That's kind of whoa. Okay.
Yeah. I guess most guys kind of live out there too. So I guess they've got a little commute to the game every single week.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, they live in Frisco. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or surrounding company neighborhoods. Well, that's cool, man. Thanks for making the time for me and allowing me to be on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And maybe one day I'll have you on again.
Hey, you got me, bro. Anything you need. All right,
um
brother.
and for the people still watching, I want to thank you guys for watching this podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one.